The bowling ball responded to Kevin Rudd and I responding to the Bowling Balls documentary, which clearly is the proudest accomplishment of his life because he bothered to put up YouTube fluorescent lights in the background. Ooh, high budget cable TV. And may I just say, stupid right! For those of you who are new to the saga, Chris Kenny was told by his masters at Sky that he had to make a damning expose of both Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull and how they're similar, I guess, I think is the thesis. I don't know, I've been working on this for half a year and I've just made a mess of it, sorry. It was just 10 nobodies with axes to grind, and really their axes were extremely blunt. It was pretty much just, I remember meeting him in the corridor and he didn't say hi to me. Was he just on his way to a press conference? Yeah, actually that might have been the case. Nothing but nasty, petty, untrue and personal attacks, and then the best show on Sky, Kenny on Media, because there's not enough Chris Kenny throughout the week, said about our response video.
This video is full of nasty stuff though, petty, untrue and personal attacks on anybody who appears in the program.
Shut the fuck up, Chrome Dome. Anyway, let's watch, so keep talking. Oh no, the Chrome Dome's upset. You can tell because he's obviously been in the bowling ball buffer an extra half hour today to make himself feel better. Why? What did we say that was so hurtful, Chris?
And I've mentioned before that in the lead up to our Men in the Mirror documentary, we asked for interviews with both Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull, and they both declined. That's their right. And they both took to Twitter, though, in the lead up to the program, saying it would be a hatchet job and that it smacked of gangster tactics and all the rest of it. But then, after it went to air last Sunday, and it wasn't a hatchet job.
In my personal estimation, it was probably the most important piece of journalism that Australia's ever produced. Yeah, what was it again? Me asking Kevin Rudd's brother if he likes him or not. It needed to get on the record.
We've seen nothing from them at all. Did this silence mean they'd nothing to complain about? Perhaps. But what has popped up today is just bizarre. Finally, a response. Kevin Rudd has shot a video with some blogger or vlogger or something.
Chris, I know this is very unbecoming, but let's be honest about this. I am way more famous than you. The only reason anyone knows who you are is because you sued the chaser because, hey, I've never f***ed a dog in my life that you know of. Your flamingo tie has more personality than you. I'm sorry, you don't get to look like some bureaucrat that should be in an upmarket Italian restaurant and then dismiss other people as not being famous. Just to really rub it in, us half-assedly responding to you on Kevin Rudd's couch, my fly down, got double the amount of views that your documentary got when it has been touted in every paper across the country. Sorry, kid, you're just not a draw. I'm not saying I'm the most famous person in the country. Nat from Sunrise does exist, but I am saying you should share that video. Let's get it to 400,000 because that will piss him off. Watch this. The entire 6 minutes is him going, I'm not pissed off. I'm not pissed off at all. Someone in Gen Y told me that if I look like I'm laughing, it'll look better on camera. It doesn't, but I suppose the alternative is me being grumpy.
Documentary and commenting on it, with Rudd claiming that he's watching it for the first time.
Any last words?
Just a deep sense of foreboding, but just a tinge of excitement to see how bad it's going to be. Given I haven't seen this yet.
Strange. Believe me, it gets even stranger.
I don't know if that's strange, Chris. I'll tell you what's more bizarre to me. The fact that you are sitting there going, I can't believe he responded on YouTube. Isn't Sky News just a YouTube channel now? Can it even be found on television? What's more odd is that you don't know that you're a YouTuber, dude. Sky News is just a hype house for people who have no hype.
There's a clip of the first line of my maiden speech to the Parliament. And that line is as follows. Politics is about power.
Politics is about power.
And what Kenny deliberately has done is excise the second sentence, which says, and it is about whether that power is exercised for the many or the few. That's what they excise. And he does it deliberately. And he knows, therefore, his presentation of that clip is a lie.
Well, I'm suitably admonished. Rudd's complaint is that a clip of him isn't shown in full, that it's a lie because it didn't run long enough. Anyway, if that's his complaint, fair enough.
Yeah, but Chris, it was one of many complaints. It lasted as long as the documentary. and your response is, yeah, we're just going to take this clip out of context to prove that this other clip taken out of context is not taken out of context. How are you genuinely wondering why Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull didn't go on your documentary? Why can't we just splice you out of context yet again and you not respond?
For someone who hasn't even seen it before, apparently, Rudd seems to have a fair idea about what's coming up and what's not coming up.
Well, I suppose that's what happens when you're on a 24-hour-a-day news channel. You don't understand the concept of editing. No wonder this man's so confused by the world. Let's go through the strikes so far. Calling me irrelevant, not understanding that the sequence of time can be manipulated by computers. Let's not forget his point that he doesn't have any gripes with the documentary. It's an hour long, and it's not your documentary. It's filled with legitimate gripes and facts. Just because you say that it's not filled with it doesn't mean it's true. You've been inside that green screen bubble for too long. Walk outside. The real world doesn't have waving graphics behind it and Rita Panahi following you, hoping that you have a heart attack so she can take your job.
But best of all is that one comment that was relayed in the program by Chris Mitchell, actually, that Rudd initially claims in this little video was a lie, he decides to check up on. How? By ringing the other man in the mirror.
Do you want to call Turnbull and see what he reckons?
Hang on, I'll just check if Malcolm's there.
Well, actually, we are just adding more evidence to his claim than that conversational.
I just checked with Malcolm, and he said he got the jacket in Beijing several years before 2015, and he joked with Mitchell on the night of the ball that, oh yes, yeah, Kevin gave me this one, and this idiot has taken it as gospel rather than being the joke that was.
It's just crazy, isn't it? But not only are Kevin and Malcolm that close.
Ah yes, Jacket Gate. The point that you brought up in your own documentary that you are now claiming is a petty point when Kevin Rudd went out of his way to see if it actually happened or not and did your job for you in real time. Fact-checked. For Christ's sake. And as soon as he did that, fact-checking. Why doesn't he just believe everything the former head of the Australian says, like me? And then you could be on Sky News.
It's crazy, isn't it? But not only are Kevin and Malcolm that close, they check these things out on speed dial, but it turns out that Malcolm did say what he was reported to have said, just that he now claims it was a joke. I mean, this whole...
Yeah. Or, like all the other goons that work for the Murdoch press, Chris Mitchell's a moron and he doesn't understand humour. That's another possibility, Chris. Especially when he got the facts wrong to begin with. I think I'm going to err with Malcolm on this one, pains me to say. But the fact that your only outcome in this situation is, so he did say it. 3 strikes in a row.
What is going on here with Kevin Rudd? How does a former Prime Minister end up doing this sort of stuff?
I love it. He's all dishevelled. He's sitting there with his belly out. There was a lot of swearing there as well, which is a little bit unbecoming for somebody who's taking up such a fight.
I tell you what, I can't wrap my head around, Chris, my full of hair head, is that you are on the channel of free speech. Sticking it to the man. Standing up for Aussie values. What's more Aussie than wearing clothes from Lowe's to begin with? But here you are saying, I thought that's very problematic because he was swearing. I don't even know if he was swearing. I'm pretty sure it was me that was swearing. And I'll tell you the other reason that he was wearing the hoodie. He comes up to me and says, should I wear a suit or should I just stay in this? And I said, do you want to show respect or disrespect? Oh, disrespect, of course. We did it so that you would have that response and then you had that response. That is how predictable you are, you cogs. I need to bring these journalists up to speed. You are no longer in year 12. You're not a prefect. I know that you probably still have that badge underneath your jacket, and that's why you're very upset that Kevin Rudd wasn't wearing a jacket. But nobody, apart from the people on that panel, cared that, oh my God, miss, he wasn't wearing a uniform. He might have said bullshit, I'm not sure. You're always marketing yourselves as the voice of common Australia. Do you think that the common Australian would care that Kevin Rudd said cunt? They'd probably re-elect him as Prime Minister just on that. Finally, someone says it. The word that I say every 3 words.
Honestly, this bloke has the glassest jaw ever, and there was actually some mention to how thick his skin is.
I don't think he said that. We're 4 minutes in. I think they're already making stuff up. Well, thank God that Kenny's on the media.
They're complaining and saying, well, everyone making allegations, including his own brother, well, they're not credible. You know, everyone just hates me.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 of your interviewees either worked for the Liberal Party or worked for the Murdoch press at some point. And you're sitting there saying, what, we didn't get a broad enough spectrum of voices? We got them from both the Liberal Party and the Murdoch press. What more do you want?
Then he goes on, well, I've got the toughest skin. And it's such a strange segue for someone who can just be so angry, his face goes so red, he gets so riled up. I mean, if you had a bit of class, wouldn't you just kind of brush it off to the side? But it's obviously very personal to him.
From the people that were just saying 4 minutes ago that our response video was very personal. You seem to take it really personally, this attack video. You people shouldn't be on cable news. You should be working at Godfrey's because you live in a vacuum.
It is bizarre. You would either ignore it, or if there's something you thought was substantially wrong about it, Rebecca, you'd complain about it properly, but...
Which is what he did, Chris. He reacted to it in what is known as a react video. It's a very important term for you to be acquainted with now that you want to be a big YouTube star, Chris. I don't think that your documentary was all that much more high budget when you pretty much had the same lights that we had, and you just CGI'd yourself into a still picture of the lower house. Was that how low your budget was, that you couldn't take the 3-hour car ride to Canberra and just film yourself in Parliament? I know that to you that's very impressive because you don't even understand what editing is. But look. As you can plainly see, this effect is not that impressive. In fact, I honestly think it looks better if we just have the white wall in the background. This is so budget, it makes rural weather presenters pointing at a map of regional New South Wales look like it's Hollywood.
Instead, you sit down in your own lounge room and do some social media hit job. I mean, what he says about people is kind of... I think he calls me a bowling ball because I'm bald. Boom, boom.
Yeah, but Chris, even your own goons are laughing at that. You do look like a bowling ball. It's not even a joke, it's a fact. Look at this mean Marcus Paul shed. I know. I thought that was Chris Kenny too, but let's just do a little spot the difference here. Oh wait, actually, yeah, it was just Chris Kenny. Sorry, my mistake. God, Kevin Rudd was really right when he said that you have no sense of irony. 15 minutes of your documentary was you saying, oh, he does look like a lemon. Oh, and it's really effective to compare people to inanimate objects. Oh, what the fuck? Why am I going to compare to an inanimate object? This has caused my sense of worth to split. We're also not comparing you to a bowling ball because you're bald, Chris. We're comparing you to a bowling ball because your skull is remarkably spherical. You really should donate it to a museum so it can be studied when you die. In fact, can we just x-ray his skull on screen? Yeah, just as I thought. There's the words AMF carved into it.
I think it's very revealing of Rudd, and it's very revealing of Rudd and Turnbull's agenda. These are two men who claim that there is so much that's being done that is so terrible in the Murdoch media that we need to spend. The taxpayer has to dig into their pockets for a royal commission, no less.
Yes, that is such a waste of taxpayers' money. Where are they going to find it after Murdoch got $50 million to keep rural papers running and then gutted 100 rural papers? I just don't understand where the funds are going to come from. I mean, there was a little bit left in the Treasury, but then Murdoch got more money to televise women's sports, which I personally think is absurd.
And yet, when they sit down to watch it, all he can complain about is, oh, that's not my plant on the table. My goodness, let's get the Royal Commission to look into that, shall we? It's absurd.
Rebecca, did you watch the documentary? You really seem like me in year 4 doing a book report on Treasure Island when I hadn't read Treasure Island. Because you seem to be really nervous on camera. You're blinking a lot. I don't think that you saw it. It was an hour out of your day. Surely you're supposed to do some homework before you go on air. Is that how low the standard is at Sky? You know what else is really sad about this? You could tell that Chris Kenny is sitting there going like, no wonder the ratings were low. That must smart for Chris. No wonder a Dragons match beat him on the same night in terms of rating. 2/3 of the panel watched it.
Shows how paper thin their complaints are, and as you say, how glassy their jaws.
How good was the phone call to Malcolm, though? I mean, what a brilliant part.
I mean,
They're clearly mates.
they clearly made.
His whole argument is it's not true.
That's wrong. I'll ring Malcolm.
No, you stupid cunt. Oh, sorry, Jack, I forgot that you hate swearing. Shit for brains, is that nicer? That was not the argument. The argument was that Kevin Rudd bought Malcolm Turnbull a jacket. He did not buy Malcolm Turnbull a jacket. Malcolm Turnbull confirmed it. The argument was not that they don't have each other's numbers. Now I'm starting to think that not even Chris Kenny watched his own documentary.
And then they take the call off camera, so you don't actually know what was said.
Or it's illegal to record people without their consent. Oh, you wouldn't know that because you work for the Murdoch press. Speaking of calling people with consent, we got to get that on the record. Stupid fat idiot shirts available at friendlyjordies.com right now. Get yours to help us in the most epic legal struggle since last year. And bonus offer, this video gets 25,000 likes and 1,000 subs. We'll start selling Chris Kenny bowling shirts. His mug on the front, an even bigger shot of his mug on the back with the words on the bottom, putting pinheads where they belong, in the gutter. You want to see that? You know what to do. We'll see you in the next react, which will inevitably happen on Kenny on Media because they do have an hour to fill and clearly not much to talk about.
Please share and comment below. Comment.